I'ma make it plain, I don't care for no cheating ways you didn't think I'd find out. Don't blame it all on the rain, don't say it's just another phase. You make me stand up and shout, quit pulling my heartstrings. It's not fair, don't play that hot and cold thing, baby, pretending you don't care. I'm hanging on to a heartache, don't keep making my heart break, 'cause I never know when you're gonna do it again. All right. Welcome, everybody. It is time for another episode of Two Pastors and a Guest. And that's what we're on the show today. We got exactly that. We got two pastors. Actually, we got three pastors. So now we're at however that works out. But we got an amazing friend with us again. And so let me tell you real quickly what the show is about. For those that are new, Two Pastors and a Guest is all about keeping it real. That's our new name as well, is that we're adding on to that name about keeping it real. So we're going to have a discussion, let you get a sneak peek into a real discussion, being totally honest. Those discussions that sometimes happen out in the parking lot after a meeting, we're going to be talking about those things that we really get to bear our heart and tell us about something that's really on our mind and what our thoughts really are. And so I'm your host, Brian Callies, with Callies Ministries, and got my awesome, wonderful friend, brother, co-host, Charles Matthews, pastor, senior Charles Matthews. What do you say, brother?
Hey, my brother, man, as I always say, man, it's a blessing to be in the land of the dying, working our way to the land of the living.
See, look at you go, man. You got this. You got this. Well, buddy, it looks like you're enjoying yourself out fishing somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta know it, man. The water lake back there looking good, you know.
You shouldn't.
Out in the middle of the water.
Where's your pole, man? Where's your pole at?
It's in the lake.
That was a big fish. I got you. Well, welcome everybody to the show. We got another amazing show. We got a great guest. You guys might remember he's been on before. This is Pastor Ricky Floyd with the Pursuit of God Church, but he's more than just a pastor from what most people think. I mean, this is the man that puts boots on the ground, hands out in the field. He is constantly doing things to improve the neighborhood, the people around him, his congregation, just about anybody that comes to him. I consider him somebody who's literally has the ability to speak into my life. And so just an awesome friend and brother, Pastor Ricky Floyd. What do you say, my friend?
Glad to be in the service one more time. With my friends, humble that, listen, I guess I didn't do too bad. Y'all invited me back again, or y'all might just be merciful. We're going to give him one more chance because we like him.
Well, no, it's a
Love
compliment.
you, brothers, man. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your vision, man.
We had so much fun with you last time you were here. That was a few weeks ago. And last time you were here, we had so much fun. We had to bring you back. And then to kind of touch bases and what, I know you are a man driven by passion and heart and being real. So I know you're always out there doing some amazing things. And I watch you on Facebook. If y'all get a chance, check him out on Facebook, because there's something you can get tied into that he's doing. Some of the things I've seen that you do is giving free food, free gas. You gave free gasoline.
Yeah.
You know, just over and over and over. When there's a need, you fill the needs.
Yeah, so, right.
Yeah, and it's something, Pascal. We actually talked about the greatness of God working through him and Caswell and Pastor Stacy Spencer and all of them yesterday on our show. We kind of mentioned about it and shouted out to you all. Yeah, to God be the glory. So again,
y'all check out his Facebook page and you can get connected with Pastor Floyd and we can try to see, or Pastor Ricky. I'm gonna say Pastor Ricky.
We're good, my friend.
Awesome, Pastor Ricky.
So my wife is still making the adjustment.
All right now.
Well, wonderful, brother. Well, just before the show, you and I were talking about something, so we're going to kind of jump into our topic today. Our topic, by the way, is, have we been focused too much on this whole COVID thing? So we were talking just before the show, and you were saying some things that kind of were on your heart. I'd love to you to kind of give us a summary of that real quick before we dive into it. What do you say?
Yeah, you know, and you have to be careful, because if you say, especially a pastor, if we say focus too much on the coronavirus, they'll think we're being spiritually fruitcake-ish and ignorant and all that kind of stuff. So I just want to say, have we put all of our attention on the coronavirus and allow the enemy to backdoor us on some things that are at an all-time high in our community? And because news has been so corona focused, that there are some things that have slipped up and become mountains in our community that we're not even addressing. And I'm afraid by the time that we do end up addressing those issues, that we will have lost a lot of mamas, daddies, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters, nieces, and nephews. Yeah.
Wow. So you I mean, you're right on the money. Let me see if I can, there you go. So you're right on the money with, you know, I don't know about you guys. This is all we talk about most of the time on the news that I see. Every other story is about this. Not that it's not important. It's just every other story is about it. And so almost everything else gets put second and gets booted to the curb. And I think maybe that's what you're saying, is that there's a lot of other important things that we should also be thinking about, focusing on. Not letting those slip. And so one of the things that you told me, and there are a few things I didn't know. So one of the things you're telling me, in your neighborhood, your neck of the woods, and we're in Tennessee right now. You can't tell by the lion behind me, but
in the bridge, you can't tell by the lion in the bridge. Pastor Charles may get away with it.
So we're in Tennessee right now, but Pastor Ricky, you were telling me about how murder the numbers are up. Can you elaborate on that just a little?
You know, right before I called you and I said, I got to go, man. I got to be on the call with my pastors. I've got a pastor friend in Jackson, Tennessee. Jackson, Tennessee has a population, I think, of 98,000 people. Jackson, Tennessee has lost 2 people to the coronavirus.
2?
As far as murders, yeah.
Wow.
Frazier has 50 people in the last about 45 days. We've lost, I think, 5 people to murders.
Wow.
And we have 50,000 people. And so there's so much emphasis. Now, let me put that in perspective. We did, and I think both of you guys, I think you guys came through. I know you were praying and supporting us with it. We did a 24-hour prayer in the Frazier community. And we had, for 190 days, we only had 3 murders in the Frazier community. Wow. 190 days, we only had 3 murders. 45 days of the coronavirus, we had, I think, 5 murders. Wow. So we had 150% increase of murders in 45 days versus 190 days. And, you know, that's not being discussed. So that means murder in 45 days has gone up 150%. And nobody's really talking about that at all, man. I just did a little research. Crime in Memphis is up 225% above the national average.
Wow.
Man, I was riding through Frazier.
20%. The crime is up all over Memphis. Is that what you're saying? You studied Memphis?
225% above national average. Now, keep in mind, Memphis was already a high-ranking crime area. And so when you got us at 225% above national average, and nobody's talking about crime now. And nobody's talking about murders now. When I say nobody, I mean everything's been dominated by the coronavirus. And certainly I'm not saying that we should not be giving attention to the coronavirus. But man, let me tell you something interesting that happened today. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a video that went viral of in Frazier this weekend, we had a bunch of young ladies that were fighting with each other in the Frazier community, and they recorded the whole thing. And then an innocent grandmother, some people tell me she had her grandbaby in her hand, was shot dead with about 50 people standing around. It was, to my understanding, the bullet was not aimed for her. Man, today I was at a gas station and I saw the young lady that recorded the video. And man, the Holy Spirit said, go to her and pray with her. Ask her, can you pray with her? And I went to her, it was right at the gas station right across the street from the church. I said, young sister, you've been through a lot in these last couple of days. Can I pray with you? And she was very receptive. I prayed with her, prayed for peace, prayed the Lord give her a new direction, pray that, and I had one of the Spirit magazines with my family on the cover. I had some gift cards for Kroger's. I went back and gave her $60 worth of groceries for gift card. And I showed her a picture of my family. And I said, I pray that God, she had a little baby in the backseat. I said, I pray one day that God will give you a family like I got and like I always wanted. And I pointed across the street. I said, if you need a father figure, come over there and ask for me. And the girl that I saw at the gas station that I prayed with was a totally different girl than from what I saw in that video. I saw a daughter at the gas station. Man, I saw something that I couldn't relate to in Frazier on the video. And it just shows us how, man, people are real and how environment create or activate spirits or mindset in us, man. And if we want people to change, the church, instead of rejecting people, we got to give them an environment where they can be transformed, man.
Gotta give them.
So that's what. Go ahead.
I said, give them an environment to be transformed. That is good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What do you feel that the reason is that all of this is up? Us not focus on it? Is it because we're all sitting at home now and I don't know, kids don't have things to do? What's the deal?
You know, sins never dealt with don't die, they multiply.
Say that again, brother. I love that.
Yeah. Sins that are not dealt with don't disappear, they don't die, they multiply.
Wow.
And so, you know, you got that big lion behind you. The lions are known for sticking their head in the sand. So if the lion roars and get ready to chase the ostrich, and the ostrich sticks his head in the sand, what's going to happen? The lion going to have a 3-piece chicken dinner, a big chicken dinner. And I think that we become so focused on Corona, man, that we're not dealing with the issues. And then people are stuck in the house. Domestic violence, by the way, is up 90%.
Wow.
90% domestic violence is up.
Wow.
Now you're stuck in the house with somebody that you don't like, that doesn't understand you, that doesn't value you, and money is tight, food is tight, and conversations that you normally could jump in your car and go to the bar or go to the casino or go to your girlfriend's house or your boyfriend's house. Now you got to sit in there and deal with this. And man, and you don't have enough money to leave and move out. It's created a very hostile environment, man. Parents have got to deal with their children, and you find out that your children was not as nice as you told the teacher there was. Junior ain't never done nothing to nobody. You find out Junior is bad. Rebellious and crazy because you were only spending 15 minutes a day with Junior when the teacher was spending 8 hours a day with the children.
Right.
So you factor all those things, man, and it creates tension, it creates anger, it creates fear, it creates bitterness, it creates rebellion, and man, it's a hostile environment that's ready to explode at any minute. Wow. You know, I was riding down the street, man, with, I can't even remember who I was riding with. And even though Frazier, you know, has had his challenges, I've never seen the drug addict zombie state that I've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, geez.
Now, you were telling me about this just before And this was kind of an eye opener for me as well. I just didn't realize this issue. Wait to hear this.
So man, I said the guy I was riding with, I said, man, yeah, I think it's kind of crazy how I said this now, but I said, man, must be some bad dope in Frazier. Well, now that I think about it, all dope is bad dope. Mm-hmm. But I said, man, this must be some bad dope, because within a mile radius, man, we saw people walking in a zombie state, and just which you normally don't see that in Frazier. Mm-hmm. And this is what he said to me. He says two things. He said, there's bad dope and there's stimulus checks. Wow. I went, wow. Mm. Wow. When you put in bad dope, sorry about that. Somebody called. Sorry about that. Oh,
you're good.
When you put in bad dope, stimulus checks, anxiety, and no jobs to go to or no responsibility, man, that's a powder keg, that's ready to explode. And so the people are getting $1,200. We got 2 children. You get $2,200. No responsibilities, and man, and anxiety, frustration, fights, bitterness, and man, it's a terrible combination. Now, I got some numbers from the mayor's office last night that blew my mind. Mm-hmm. I talked to Methodist Hospital president yesterday, along with some city officials and the pastor, and they said that it was at noon yesterday, we had about 88 deaths from the coronavirus in the Memphis area since the coronavirus hit Memphis, Tennessee. 88. Now that's since the virus hit America. Mm-hmm. They said we have had 700 people who have OD'd in 60 days.
700 people.
Wow.
Who OD'd. 102 of those were fatalities, which mean they died.
Wow.
Now, the whole time the coronavirus has been here, we've had 88 people. Mm-hmm. In 60 days, 700 people. Man, that's like every 2 hours somebody's overdosing on opioids.
Wow.
And that's almost like every day a person, and 1.5 people is dying every day from opioids, man. And we haven't heard anything about that.
Mm-hmm. No.
Now just imagine if that's 60 days. Can you imagine if that continues for 120 days? Another 120 days. That's the potential of 300 people dying from overdoses, man.
Wow.
And blood pressure used to be the silent killer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like Corona has made opioid epidemic the silent killer.
Wow. Wow.
So, that's kind of concerning, not kind of concerning, that is concerning me. And I put that post out there, and the organization saw my concern and passion for that. So this Saturday, we will actually be having an organization. We are allowing them to come on our part. And I know as a pastor, I'm going to get persecuted for this. And this is...
Well, that's not something new for you. You're the bold man that goes out there, right? You're the one that does what needs to be done, regardless of what people might say.
And ideally, this is not what I would want on my church parking lot. I would love to have a church picnic where we had fried chicken and watermelon and collard green and potato salad. I would love to have that. Mm-hmm. But man, with 700 people ODing, 102 dying, it's only a matter of time, man, that someone pulls up in a parking lot near my church and they're out there dying from overdose and And so we are going to have next Wednesday a training session on our campus on how to administer Narcan. I think that's what they call it.
Narcan,
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Narcan. We're going to have a training, and it's not just, it's open to anybody that's interested in that. You know, you say, well, no, nobody want to do that. It's kind of a, what they used to call it, the mouth-to-mouth CPR. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, CPR, yes.
It's
sir.
kind of, it's the new CPR training.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That
I haven't heard of, sir.
That stuff works.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
reason it works is that because it has to be administered so quickly that a lot of times when the EMS and the emergency guys try to get there, they just can't get there fast enough to administer what you could have helped if you had Narcan available.
Yes.
Seconds count. And to inner city pastors, inner city businessmen, inner city community activists, hopefully we'll never have to use it.
Amen.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But if we do, and one life is given the opportunity to have another opportunity to get delivered from opioids, man, that's an awesome opportunity.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we had a great show yesterday that was talking about, from a nurse's point of view, she was an ER trauma nurse, and her point of view was we weren't prepared. We just weren't ready. We didn't think ahead. We weren't prepared for all of this. We should have been, but we weren't. So all you're doing, it seems like, is wanting to think, all right, let's prepare ourselves for if you get into that opportunity where you can make that difference. I think that's genius, brother. You got to let me know how to do that. I want to get connected to that.
You know, the scripture says, no man know the day, hour when the Lord will come. But now I want us to factor this in too. We don't know when the devil coming either.
That's right.
That's true.
So we've got to have ourselves positioned so that if that, I like to call it, opportunity presents itself to save a life, by being trained on this. And and this is probably what, you know, and I'll be honest with you, years ago, I would have said no. They are passing out, we're going to allow them to pass out needles.
Like free needles for people so they'll have clean needles if that's what they're going to choose to do anyway. Is that what you mean?
You know, yes. And again, like I said, I'd much rather have a church. I'd much rather have a church picnic, but there's not a need for a picnic at this time.
You go where the need is. You always go where the need is.
Yeah, there was 700 people OD'd.
Wow.
So I'm sure someone in Fraser OD'd.
Yeah.
I'm as much as I love my community, I'm sure. So we got to have trained professionals. You know, we have an apartment complex in Fraser, 50 residents over there. We need to have residents on that particular apartment complex. We got about 12 members that live on that campus. We need to have some members that are trained over there in case if something happens. We've got people involved in the school system, and we've got we partner with a rehab program here in the Fraser community. And man, we just need to have those devices and those training in place so that if the opportunity presents itself to save a life, man, that we've done it. And so, you know, years ago, we did something similar when the teen pregnancy rate was nationally known and Fraser was mocked, literally on the Glee Club. They talked about Fraser and teen pregnancy, and on the show, they mocked us on the show. And the seniors at Fraser High Schools were humiliated. It was so bad that we had a young lady who was a scholar that got a scholarship to college. And after they accepted her to college, they called the girl back and asked her, "Are you pregnant?" Now, here's a girl who is academically sound, has done everything right, and they humiliated her because of the reputation and stigma of Fraser, Fraser High School, and called her back and asked her, "Is she pregnant?"
Wow.
And so we did, And then we had one of the highest infant mortality rates in the United States, worse than some third world countries. And we began to teach abstinence classes, but in addition to abstinence classes, we taught safe sex. And boy, I got the brakes beat off of me for that. Now, listen, I got started early with sex, real early with sex. You probably wouldn't believe how early I got started with sex. And so by the time, man, I was 16, 17 years old in high school, I told my neighbor, sad, but I told my little neighbor, we were playing basketball, and I said, man, I'm having more sex than your mom and daddy was.
Wow.
Now that I'm older, I probably was telling the truth, I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
See,
some of y'all will catch that later.
Real.
But anyway, and so, man, and I was saying, man, I don't care if Moses, Shadrach, Meshach, Bendigo, and Abraham came down and told me that having sex was wrong at 16, man, I wouldn't want to listen to no message about that.
Right.
I would have listened to a message how to be more responsible. But, you know, I was too much involved into the sin, and I liked it too much to let anybody talk me out of it. So we taught that, and then after we took about 250 children through training. The infant mortality rate went down. We partnered with Morning Center, and teen pregnancy went down. So a lot of people criticize me for doing that, but you know, I get accused of being a results focused guy, and I must admit sometimes I'm guilty of that.
And sometimes people see things from different points of view. Everybody has that right. And so one of the ways that Charles and I will look at it is we end up at our events with Saving Lost Kids, we'll give out free gun locks. And some people are saying, why would you talk to my kids about guns? I said, well, because they're going to see one. I mean, well, and they're thinking, half of them are thinking like, well, I just want to keep them in the dark about guns, and that will keep them safe. And I'm like, well, it isn't working because your logic is not producing the result you're hoping for. It's smarter to talk to them and let them know the dangers, the dangerous end, what happens when you play with it. I'd rather you teach that. And it seems like that's kind of your approach is let's focus on the problem and come up with a solution that will actually produce the result you want to produce.
And you lead me into a great example of that. You know, before the coronavirus hit, about a month before that, we took 40 inner city boys through an actual gun safety training class.
Wow.
Ages 6 to 17.
Woo.
And some people say, why would you do that? Now, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, Pastor Charles and Pastor Brian, that we had a 5-year-old walk into some woods in Memphis, found a gun, I think he killed his 14-year-old brother and injured himself. Had that boy been in our class, he would have been taught, don't touch a gun. He would have been taught, never point a gun at anything that you don't want to die. He would have been taught, never assume that a gun doesn't have a bullet in it. So if that 5-year-old had gone through our class, just maybe, his 14-year-old brother would still be alive today.
Wow.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I know that challenges some people that's out there, some of our viewers. It might challenge your logic, but I'll challenge you this. You know, look out for the result of what happens, not just your opinion, but take your opinion and figure out what is going to happen at the end of that. And if it doesn't produce the result you want, then you need to change your opinion of how you're going to approach something. Maybe get some other ideas. And I know you probably caught a lot of grief for that, Pastor, and put yourself out there a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I think that was the smartest choice.
Yeah.
So just from a gun thing, since we're talking about it, in other words, I grew up with guns. I had a BB gun, that's what we started off with BB guns. And my dad taught me the business end, what happens when you point, and then that migrated to a 22, and then we ended up getting into doing hunting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
None of my brothers even came close to shooting each other. I mean, we didn't, all of us. And everybody I talked to that actually knows about, like was raised up with guns, will all say the same thing. We never even had that close encounter where we accidentally almost shot each other. It just didn't happen because we had a little bit of knowledge and wisdom and education. That knowledge, wisdom, education is not the reason that kids are hurting themselves and killing each other with guns.
Let me tell you why I was so adamant about doing that, Brian. My story was the exact opposite of yours. I can remember, man, I was probably 16, 17 years old, found a gun in my mother's closet. Because I wasn't trained on guns, there was no cartridge in the gun. I thought the gun was empty. My sisters had I got two sisters, younger sisters. They had a friend spending over. Man, I got the gun. I'm playing with the gun, chasing them around the house, putting the gun all up to my head. And I held the gun up in the air and pulled the trigger. And guess what happened?
Oh, no way.
Wow.
Man, I ran upstairs in my bedroom and cried like a baby.
Wow.
Because I thought, what if I had shot my sister's friend in the head?
Yeah.
What if I shot my sisters in the head?
Yeah.
What if I'd had 3 young girls watch me blow my brains out in front of them?
Right.
And so, to this day, man, I don't own a gun. I don't own a gun because of, man, what that could have done by accidentally ignorant because I hadn't been trained.
Yeah.
And my mother didn't have it alone. Kids probe and looking around mothers and stuff. Man, I could have destroyed lives with that. So that's why it was an easy sell for me to understand the importance of teaching children on guns.
Yep. And so you're now translating that to the same logic, approaching your current crisis that we've got, where you're actually going to bring somebody on your campus that is to help to administer training on how to use Narcan in a safe way and how to do it for real. So when people come up, but then you also said you're doing something else. You're giving out needles. Can we talk about that for just a second?
They have a package. Man, you finna really get me in trouble. They have a package. The package has but this is keeping it real, though, right?
That's right. And if we don't get the audience to understand why you're doing what you're doing, half of them are going to sit here and complain about it. So let's help them to understand.
I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things I went there today, and I'll post a picture in this later on tonight. They have a little kit. They call it I forgot the exact name for it. They have a kit, but in this kit they have a box for you to put needles that have been used in this box. Now, why is that important? Man, there are certain communities, you go to playgrounds and people have been shooting up and they've got needles there. And if a child slides down a slide and lands on one of those needles, we put a child at risk for hepatitis, for AIDS, for all of those. We put them at risk because we haven't given a irresponsible person a responsible option.
Yes.
We haven't given them an option to do what's right. They're addicted, but that doesn't mean that they're a flat-foot evil person because they're addicted. And so that gives the place that we don't have needles just laying around in our neighborhoods or anything like that.
Smart.
It has other needles, so the people are not sharing the needles. Now I know this sounds unreasonable, but addicts are not reasonable. And so again, we want to give people as many options, and I can't even say it's to do right, but it's to do better. than what they are doing.
Right, right.
And so if people are sharing needles, leaving needles around, and then unfortunately, here's a reality: sex, prostitution, and drug addiction go hand in hand. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a reality. So if we got somebody that's prostituting out there, this kid has, man, I even feel bad saying this, but the kid has condoms in it.
Yeah.
So that, again, diseases are not spread, so that an addict won't get pregnant.
Right.
So we won't have addicted babies, or the government has to take care of a baby again that a parent can't, all of those things. And then it has the Narcan stuff, to where someone is an addict, and Brian said it worked good, that they can, I think they put it in the chest. I hadn't gone through my training yet. And it flushes out the system. Well, I don't know how to, I don't want to get to trying to talk. I'm gonna learn how it works. But all I know, I've seen people that were dying, they hit with the Narcan and they come back to life.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the things that we're gonna have on our campus this Saturday from 1 to 6. They will be there, able to give it out. And here's the thing, man. They told me they've been ran out of Frazier.
That same group has?
That same group has been ran out of Frazier
because people mistaken that by having those kits there, it will make it easier, and all of a sudden the numbers will climb, and now everybody's...
And that they are in agreement with addiction.
Okay, well, let me tell you my point of view real quick, because see, now I can't speak about the needles as much other than my opinion. But I mean, I really had a problem at one time in my life about people giving out free condoms, right? Yeah. I had a problem with that.
So did I.
Because my logic was coupled with the ignorance of how things really worked. If you knew how things really worked, you'll find out this, that a person with a condom that's easily received will use it because they have it. Right? It didn't stop anything if they didn't have one, though. So me taking the condom away from them, it didn't stop them from having unsafe sex with somebody. Not at all. Didn't fix the problem at all. In fact, it made it worse, because had I have let them have the condom, the next person, who, by the way, this was an AIDS thing, is what this worked. The other person, he wouldn't be spreading AIDS to everybody the way he was doing it, because he would have had a condom, at least would have protected 1 or 2 people from that one condom. I mean, that's kind of the way I didn't solve the problem with my little pedestal of saying, well, in my opinion, well, your opinion doesn't matter much until you look at the facts and figure out if it actually solves the problem. So I had to get re-educated on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
One of my boys, I'm not going to tell which one of them, they're probably going to get me, but I found one of my son's wallets one time, and he had a condom in him. And I said, son, are you having sex? And he said, no, Dad. I said, why you got a condom in there? And the condom was old as he was, so I believed him.
also, I heard you mention about, the kids and stuff, and, you were saying, like, how, people throwing the needles away, anywhere at the park, by the sliding board and the swings, and I agree with you. That's a real bad, terrible hazard, and dangerous thing and situation, for a child or anybody, even yourself. You can be walking and
and just trip over it, man.
Right, yeah. But the thing about it, so now, what about, have they came or do you have anything? Well, like I said, for they dispensing them, they're going to be giving those kits and with the needles and stuff in them. What about? And I know what I'm finna say is it may be kind of difficult, but it ain't impossible. The needles themselves, giving them out, would they be also talking to these people about how to get rid of and dispose of them?
Charles, I am so glad you brought this up. Not only are they talking to the people about how to dispose of the needles and giving them safe needles, they have options for programs available for these people to go. Charles, I'm so glad you brought this up, Pastor, because you bring a great balance to this.
Amen.
So we're not just passing out needles and passing out condoms. We're going to be there praying with the people.
Right.
And they're going to have people, they're giving the people options and places that they can go if they are ready to get rehab, if they are ready to try to get detox. They've got I think they've got housing places. Now, here's something that is kind of disturbing to me, is that we have a whole lot of programs for opioid, but still the crack addict, there's no housing for crack addicts.
Right.
There's no medicine for crack addicts. There's so the crack addict just is doomed to crack addicts. And a lot of people, equate this to another form of racism, because the crack addict is typically an inner city, Black person. Mm-hmm. And in most cases, originally, now, drugs have a tendency of becoming a great race equalizer.
Right.
We can't do a lot of things together, but we can smoke crack together. Racists can smoke crack and drink wine together and shoot up together. But a lot of people equate this because the opioid epidemic initially hit small town white America. And even the wealthy mother, because of painkillers and stuff like that, was getting addicted to opioids. So some and it's a very viable challenge, is saying we can get research and housing and grants, and opioid is called a sickness, a health crisis, when crack was called a crime crisis. Right.
Wow.
And I'm glad Pastor Floyd said that, Brian. And well, I wanted to say this because how they also got, it's really like the hospital got the little biohazard little things that when they get through with the needles, they toss them over in that. And I was just thinking though, even with the little the kit y'all give them, if it's a little kit that's going to hold the needle, I'm pretty sure it's durable and kind of, to the point to where
it's a hard black box.
Right. And they can put the needles back into that box. But watch this. And I know right after this, I know, Brian, we got to do a spotlight break. But watch this. But think about this also, Pastor Floyd. There's something else you might know. It's great to think about and look into too, and consider. The fact of the matter is that, especially if they're shooting up, depending on which drug they're shooting, what happens is that once they do that and they're out of it, they're not thinking about or even competent to the point to where they are aware to put the needle away in a safe place. So that may be something else you might want to kind of look into and think about too, how kind of go about that, because you got to think about it. Certain drugs, once they shoot them up, man,
they gone.
They gone. So if the needle laying around and stuff, sometimes, because I know there's been cases where I just walked up on people and they're laying there on the ground with the needle still in their arm.
Jesus.
And things like that. But I'm just saying. And think about it. And probably when they wake up, because I saw a few wake up, they wake up and they just toss the needle because, and I guess that's something else to look into and think about, because teaching them how to dispose of them. But what happens if they're not in the condition or position to expose them?
Yeah.
I want to say to our audience too that we've been talking about Memphis, but that is just because we all three live in Memphis basically and work in Memphis. It's not Memphis is a bad place by any means. This is just an example of what's happening, I guarantee you, in your area. So wherever you're watching and viewing from, this is a systemic issue that's going all over, right? So we just need to
absolutely. This is a national epidemic.
Yes, it is.
We're outing it, trying to show people the problems, but and the concept of, I think what Ricky's trying to do is, again, we've focused on the COVID thing, and that's a good thing, that we focus, but we focus so much that sometimes I think we've not focused where we should also on some of our other problems. And
go ahead, Charles. Are you gonna say something?
Oh no, well, actually, like you say, it's everywhere, man. this been a thing that's been going on, man. Like you said, worldwide, man, forever. And the thing about it is that, man, there's really not much that people can do about it, call themselves getting the attitude, because it's like you're not supplying them, because watch this, they gonna do it regardless.
Yeah, now if I start passing out the dope, that's when y'all
That's a whole different story. Watch this, because this thing about with needles, like I say, when you pass out a needle, I mean, think about that, needles are used for diabetics and all kind of people. But on the other hand, like you said, that's a whole different story, passing out the dope. But in the same token, if you can do something to prevent, in some kind of way, possibly prevent a child or even yourself, and this is what people don't think about, you could be the one that walk up on that needle, then it'll be a whole different story. You'll look at it a whole different way. If you the one stepped on that needle and you found out that you had the AIDS because that person that used that needle, that same needle, they had something, or your loved one shared that needle with that person that had that.
It'll come real quick that way, won't it?
Yeah. But we need to do a spotlight, bro.
Yep. So it's time, real quick. We're just going to put a pin in that, and we'll get back to you, brother. It's time for our charity spotlight, and our charity spotlight today is right. Well, I can see it. There it is. It's Saving Lost Kids. So Saving Lost Kids is a charity and a nonprofit that Charles and I both work at diligently. We worked with Ricky Floyd on many times. Saving Lost Kids' job is missing, exploited, and sex trafficking of children by trying to prevent it. We've already been talking today about trying to do prevention work, and that's what our goal is, to try to stop it from happening by raising awareness, giving out education, trying to come up with some resources to stop it from happening on the front end. You're looking at our website, which is savinglostkids.org, savinglostkids.org. And what you're looking at is actually one of the pages about vulnerable to sex trafficking, child sex trafficking in particular. And what you may not know is that there are some vulnerabilities that children have that will make them much more likely to be a victim of sex trafficking. See, there's already something we're teaching a lot, that people that don't realize that. So one of the biggest ones is ACEs. If you do or do not know what ACEs is, it's adverse childhood experiences. And that means that if something bad happened to the child, basically when they were younger, as they're growing up, that trauma has psychologically impacted them in such a way that it will affect their future. And it also affects their decisions and their decision making. And that a lot of times opens up that door to a trafficker taking advantage of that child because they have a way to exploit that child from something that might have happened. And there's a lot of different things. So take a look at the website, look at some of those vulnerabilities. If you see a child has some of those vulnerabilities, and even if not, it's really, really smart to talk to them about what could happen, and we can help you with that. That's kind of what we do. So feel free to give us a call, 800-308-0607, or visit us at savinglostkids.org. And we always are using funds to do what we do. That's how we're able to get out and do all these events. So we're definitely going to be asking people to continue, even though we're in this COVID time, we still need those resources to be able to continue going out. And right now, like Ricky said, crime is up. I have not seen the statistics, but I would imagine from what I'm seeing that missing kids didn't go down. I'm certain of that. Yeah, it's most likely gone up as well, and we need to address as much as we can. So consider coming a monthly partner with us, become a partner and help us to really make a big difference. So, and it's real easy to do. Just text SLK, Saving Lost Kids, SLK. Text SLK to 41444, and that will get you started. It's very easy. So back to the show. Two pastors and a guest, keeping it real. I'm your host, Brian Callies with Brian Callies Ministries. We have my co-host here, the awesome Pastor Charles E. Matthews Sr., and we have our wonderful guest with us today, Pastor Ricky Floyd.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Ricky Floyd with the Pursuit of God Church, but also just amazing man, boots on the ground guy. And we were talking about some really hard things. We're being as real as we can be today, and something that Ricky Floyd is doing at his church and opening up that campus. Can you give us just one more quick recap of that? And we got about 5 minutes left, a little bit more. And let's give the address and how people can reach out to that and get connected to that.
Listen, 3759 North Watkins. This Saturday, we actually got 2 events going on. Number one, we're going to be doing a fundraiser for MLK Prep. We're going to be doing like a Jerry Lewis type telethon.
Oh, cool.
We're going to have acts and singing and rappers and dancers and comedians going to come out this Saturday and raise funds for the Inner City High School MLK Prep. And then right after that, on the parking lot, we're going to have people who are helping people who are battling with addictions, people who are battling with addictions. There are going to be opportunities to connect with institutions. If you know someone that's an addict, listen, trick them out. Tell them you know where they got free needles, and just maybe they get on the holy ground, the church. The Holy Spirit will convict and convince and convert them, or we can give some good prayer to them and cause them to say, I don't need the needles. I need thee, oh Lord. I need thee.
Yes, Lord.
And so, you know, that's something, there's a lot of prayer that's been going on that ground. And so this Saturday, we've got those 2 events going on. Today, we passed out about 140 baskets worth of food to people. Earlier this week, we partnered with Federal Express and Kroger's, and we made an opportunity for all the graduating seniors from MLK Prep High School that Federal Express was on the premises ready to give all of them a job. And in addition to that, we gave each one of those students a $40 gift card from Kroger's as part of us celebrating them graduation. Amen. So, you know, the virus is here, but it has not stopped the work of the Lord on 3759 North Watkins, the Pursuit of God Transformation Center, ultimate inner city church.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. So Brian, you was asking a minute ago, man, about my fishing pole. I got it now. I just want to let you know I didn't come up there handed. I just want to let you know.
Be careful waving around like that. You might catch a sucker.
I just want to let you know. You know, I'm getting ready to cash. See, I'm getting ready to see. I just want to let people know, you know, I ain't no joke now.
That's my brother right there. I swear.
Hey guys, here's my bungee cord. I'm getting ready to jump off the bridge right here with my bungee cord.
I don't have to do anything. I gotta go bury my head in the
I put this hook on this pole and catch you, brother. Amen.
Well,
Amen.
Pastor, so we've been talking with Pastor Ricky today about some really hard stuff, but you know, during all this COVID stuff and the way that things have changed, it's caused some things to happen. And some of the things that's happened is deaths. Can you tell us the numbers just real quickly again? We got about,
you know, again, I just got this from the city of Memphis, an email yesterday that 700 people as of yesterday noon had overdosed in 60 days.
Wow.
Out of those 700, 102 of them did not make it. They were fatalities. They did not recover. It was during the whole time that we've had the coronavirus in Shelby County. There have been 88 people as of noon yesterday, 88 people. I think we had another 3 yesterday, so we were up to 91 people who have died from the virus. But in a shorter period of time, we've had more people that have died from drug overdose. Wow. No, a lot of people don't realize this, Brian. About 3 years ago, when Memphis was, I think, either at or a little over 300 murders, man, we had almost 200 people that OD'd. So, you know, we had almost as many, or, well, let me say this. It was only, I think it was only 50 people. My numbers are off, but I think there was only 50 less people that died from drug addiction than there was from murders. Wow. And you were not hearing about that. And so again, that's a new silent murder in Shelby County, drug addiction, because for some reason, and I hadn't figured out yet, for some reason, we're not talking about the people that are dying from drugs as much as we are murders and as much as we are in this season, the coronavirus. And so we need to be aware of that. You need to watch your children. You need to watch your medicine. You need to watch who your children are hanging at, and Brian and Charles, that Pastor Brian and Charles, that many times these children are being used because of drug addicts and drug trafficking, sex trafficking. All of that goes hand in hand, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pastor Floyd.
Yes, sir.
And because I know you say, because we know it's been happening all the time anyway, but hearing those numbers kind of have just kind of raised a big question to me and concern even more. Do you feel, or do you think that even the extra money have played another bigger part in that?
Oh my God, yes, sir. For drug addicts, and unfortunately, man, I have a member that's I consider him a son, man. Good guy, man. Good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But this week alone, man, his wife called me and said, what do you do when your husband got some money in his pocket and he's getting ready to go smoke crack?
Wow.
Mm.
And man, I love the guy. When he's not messing with drugs, he's a great son of the spiritual son. But man, money, here's what people don't realize. Money is a trigger.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And so I told him, I texted him, I said, come to me right now with the money.
Right.
Because if he leaves that house with the money, man, he's so the answer to your question is, Charles, is absolutely yes. $1,200 in the hand of an addict.
So it's something that not only have this COVID-19 pandemic thing been a horrible thing to death of people, in that way, but yet it also contributed in the way of people that their overdose rate had went up because of them giving out this money. It's like it looked like it's a good thing, but on the other hand, it's really have caused some things to happen that could have been avoided, prolonged possibly, had people not, got this money, because like you said, if you ain't got no money, you can't do it unless but in the same token, it's something that people are not dying just from the from COVID-19. They're dying more from the overdose thing, even faster, because look at the rate you just said and how many overdosed and how many didn't make it. Look, 700 some overdosed, 100 something didn't make it. Man, that's terrible.
Watch this, Charles, Pastor Charles. You got 91 that have died from the corona.
Right.
You've got 102 that have died from drug addiction, and that's probably at the rate that they were going at. That's probably 105 now, but let's just say 102. Who knows what the numbers from domestic violence, which is up 90%. Who knows what the numbers is from just people in the community shooting each other.
Wow.
So coronavirus has killed more people through drug addiction, through domestic violence, through anxiety and rage. And watch what's going to happen, guys. In about 60 days, when all of these people who have spent all of their money on TVs, drugs, clothes, start getting these eviction notices.
Because it's coming.
When it's going to be 90 degrees outside. And you get an eviction notice. I'm concerned about suicide. I'm concerned about robberies and carjacking and all of that, and domestic violence even going up higher, man. We got to pray, brothers.
Yes, we do.
We got to pray.
And that's something, Pastor Floyd. Thank you for sharing that with us like that, because like you said, and I ain't saying, because this COVID-19, this is a serious thing too, but it's something though. But they're so focused on it, and we're so focused on that and I get what you're saying now, that we're forgetting about the other problem that is causing the other situations and deaths and stuff like that is causing, because we'll focus on that, but nobody's looking at that. Guess what? We got more people that's an overdose and more that's done died from overdose of the money that coming from the COVID-19 than there are people that have passed away from that.
And then watch this. What? Excuse me, guys. I got a call in, but watch this, guys, Charles. And then guess what? Sunday, they don't have an opportunity to hug Charles.
Yes. Right.
To hug Brian.
Right.
To hug Ricky. They don't have an opportunity for us to look at them and I say, hey man, what's going on with you, brother?
Yes, yes. Yes.
They don't have the fellowship of faith.
Wow.
For people who love them, who can look at them, who can give them a live, encouraging word, look, touch. It's a deadly combination, brother.
Man, we need that. That's such an important thing. I understand, we have to have some security and safety, and this is a time. What we should do, though, is should open our eyes to see how important it is that when we're not able to come together and we're not able to fellowship the way we should, and we're not able to give each other that hug or that handshake, man, we don't need to take that for granted anymore.
Not at all.
So, brother, I want to thank you so much. Audience, I want to thank you for watching Two Pastors and a Guest. This is a show that we do Monday through Friday right here at 7 o'clock from 7 to 8 on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We'd love to have you come and join us again. Make sure you share it with your friends, like the page, put some comments down there. We'll be happy to get those relayed over to Ricky Floyd, and he can answer some of your questions, or if it's something for Charles and I, we're happy to do that. Just want to thank you again, Ricky, for coming out. The man who's trying to do something that is impactful. He sees things. God gives him some insight to see a train wreck coming, and he's doing everything he can to prevent that train wreck from having as many casualties as it normally would. So, buddy, I admire all your innovative ideas and bold ideas. I want to thank you for coming on the show and being honest as a heart attack with us. And brother, I just love you, man.
Yes, Lord, we love you, man.
Man, I love you all, and thank y'all for allowing me to be a part of the family, brother.
My pleasure. Our pleasure. So our shout out to our show sponsor, Brian Callies Ministries. If you'd like to make a donation to the show or the ministries, donate SAVED, SAVED, to 91999. SAVED to 91999, and that will help us to continue. And we will see you tomorrow right here, 7 o'clock.
Amen.
God bless you, gentlemen.
Bless you. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Oops. Eventually I can get us out of here, All right. Bless you.
I'm hanging on to a heartache. Don't keep making my heart break. 'Cause I never know when you're gonna do it again. I'm hanging on to a heartache. I keep making the same mistake. I know I should be long gone, but after all this time, I'm still hanging on.